Watching porn made me the biggest target in school, and no one knew why. I need to explain to you something that happened to me way back before. In primary school, I was like pretty confident. I had like no problems with other people, even though when I look back at some old pics of me, in some of them I looked like chopped as fuck. But the thing is, I had such an energy there that everybody like I was like friends with everybody. Everybody respected me. I know how to explain it. I remember it was like a pretty good time back then, but things started to went downhill when I got into like secondary school, and especially in eighth grade. This is where all the like bad habits started to appear, especially when I started to watch porn consistently. But I didn't know how much of an big impact it had on my like whole school experience throughout all these years. I went like 3 years into secondary school, and all that time was like porn addicted. I started to notice the energy that I had like in primary school. It just wasn't there anymore. Like I had such a bad self-image. I was like sitting like behind in class, like at the last like row. I had like one friend that I talked to, but since that I didn't like talk to anybody. I was like I started to get like so quiet in secondary school. And I know it sounds weird, but I kind of like forgot how to talk at this part of my life. Every time I talk to a new person, like I don't know, my voice just sounded cheeky and stuff, and I didn't like felt like comfortable talking to new people. I only had like this one friend, and we talked like brain rot jokes every time. Like this was can you imagine 90% of our conversations were like brain rot stuff? Like I couldn't talk normal to people, especially not like girls and stuff. I remember there was one specific day, probably know this too, when you had to go in front of the class to do like a speech of some like text or something. You need to imagine, because I was like so introverted and like weak in my mind and stuff. It showed on the outside very clearly that I was like not the strongest there, and I was like very emotional. I was a pretty easy target in my school, in my class. And when we had to do this speech, I remember walking up to the front desk talking about like the things that I worked on, like this task. I stuttered so much, and I made like so many talking mistakes, but I don't know how to explain it. I didn't like play it off like cool. I just acted like so awkwardly in front of my whole class, and I noticed like people started like laughing at my speech, and this made like the whole scenario a lot like harder. Like it made me a lot harder to like talk in front of them. At some point I started to stop talking completely. It was like so quiet in this room because I don't know, I felt like a freeze or something. Bro, it was so awkward. Bro, there was one motherfucker in my class. I swear, bro, if I was like there today and stuff, I swear I would like punch him in the face. But he was like he was like the loudest there. He was like the loudest in the class. He throwed like a paper ball at me. I when he did it, I tried to play it off cool. I started laughing and stuff, but deep down, I was like, bro, why does this happen to me? Why do I act in this way that people throw fucking paper balls at me? Yeah, however, I sit back in my chair and stuff. I didn't look anybody in the eyes because I felt so like ashamed of myself. This typical self-image problems when you're at school. Like fast forward to now, when I got into NoFap when I was like 17, I went to another school, and there I seriously got into like this self-improvement niche and stuff. Started going to the gym. It was cool, but the biggest impact that I had was like this NoFap trend that I saw recently. I think I saw a video of Jack Piggott, and he told about this NoFap and all these benefits and stuff. At first I didn't believe it, but after I tried it, I was so obsessed with this, but because it had the biggest impact on me, not watching porn. I got so like comfortable like talking to other people and girls and stuff. I tried out a bunch of nofap streaks to stop completely, but they didn't work. But after I sat my ass down, really researched about it, because I wanted this to work out. I finally got to a point where I'm now 4 months free from porn. I want you to do the same. early as possible, because if I knew this like years earlier, I would done so much things differently and stuff. But I'm happy that now at the point where I knew all this knowledge, that I can use it for me. Yeah, it basically changed my life. I'm way happier than ever, way more confident. I think I have like zero self-image problems. You know, sometimes I think about myself in kind of way, but at the end, all these problems that I had back then, they like 90% vanished, and like porn helped me so much with this. So if you at this position where you keep relapsing all the time, where you want to also get to NoFap, want to also stop your porn addiction, then click the link down below and I will personally help you achieve that goal in just 90 days, guaranteed. But how does this actually work? Like, this isn't something that you get from 0 to 100 in just like one day. I had a lot of problems like being consistent on porn, on not watching porn. There are a few tricks that help you immensely get to that position where you slowly not watching it anymore. And the one thing that helped me is replacing it with more healthy habits. For example, when I told you that I watch all these self-improvement videos, I started to go to the gym, started meditating, and these things kept me like busy and reduced like that I thought about porn. It kinda helps, but it's not like completely vanished my addiction. I needed like more things. The more things I had that kept me away from this addiction, the better. And what I realized is having an accountability partner. This is the second tip. Having an accountability partner can make such a big difference. If someone is like on the same path as you, if someone also want to stop quitting, like talking to a friend about and keeping them like motivated that they are also try to not fap and stuff. If you don't have like any friend who's also on the same path who you can really like talk to about this stuff, then you can talk to me, like book a call with me. I'll help you with this. But the last thing, which I think is the most important one, is that you don't see a relapse as a failure. You see it more as a 1% setback. For example, every day you go on without watching porn, you get 1% high. For example, you get to a 10-day no streak. That means that you have 10%. But one time you relapse, what happens? You get 1%. You get 1% lower. 1 point lower. Don't you lose your progress all the way, you just get like 1 point lower. That means that you still have 9 points, 9%. So what are you doing? You just keep on going. You learn from the mistakes. You learn from the triggers that get you to that point. So you keep getting further and further till you get to a point where you don't watch porn anymore that often, where it doesn't take up all your mental space. That's what I did. I did it slowly and slowly. I still relapsed, but I kept in mind that one relapse is not completely vanishing my progress. So I keep going and going till I got 1 week without porn, till I got 2 weeks without porn, and now I'm like 4 months clean. But the process for me, it took me like 2 years. 2 years till I got to the point where I can be 4 months free from it. Before that, I watched like once every 2 weeks, and then once every month. But for me, it's now easy to keep clean. Yeah, I hope you found this helpful. Again, if you help you with this, get results faster, then just click the link down below and I will help you with that. See you in the next video.